Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Frederico and I have here Paula with me. We're going to be talking about how to define your career purpose, the ideal career for you. So Paula, in your book, you talk about 5 career phases. Can you talk about that?
Yes. What I find is that we tend to enter 5 phases in our career. You begin with the searching phase. The searching phase is you're trying to define the ideal career for you, or you're seeking to get a degree. So what degree do I need to get? And you're also looking at, well, how do I find that ideal career? You're searching. And then we go into what I call the existing phase. The existing phase is, wow, I have a job. And you're glad to have a job, but you're just doing the work, and what you're feeling is you're getting your fulfillment outside of the work environment. Then you get into the struggling phase. And the struggling phase is when you're running into problems either with your job or your manager. Then you enter the achieving phase. And the achieving phase is when you feel, well, I'm doing well in my career, I'm making a lot of money, I'm doing, I'm enjoying this, but I'm questioning there's something missing.
Right.
And I feel that there's a more of a purpose somehow, and I just don't feel, somehow I feel unfulfilled. So then we go into the fulfilling phase, and that's what I'm talking about today, is to people that are in the fulfillment stage. They feel, you know what, I love what I'm doing, I feel that what I'm doing is valuable, and I feel that I'm contributing to something, that I'm fulfilling my purpose, and I feel valued and fulfilled for the contribution I make. And I think that in our career, all of us are searching for that.
I think so too. Also in your book, you talk about wasted talent.
Yes, I talk about wasted talent because I was a former senior vice president of human resources for an advertising company. And coupled with my experience as a career coach and as a management consultant, I kept seeing people wasting their talent, not fulfilling their potential. And the reason I kept seeing there was a pattern there, and I thought that it was an identity problem.
How interesting. You know, Paula, as I read your book, you also talk about the importance of definition of career success. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, first of all, I'm going to talk about why it's important to define your identity, and you're absolutely right, we need to define our definition of career success. And basically, your identity defines who you are, what you value. Knowing how to professionally manage your identity enables you to choose the right career for you. And what I find is that we make major investments. We spend a lot of time and money for our education and university and college degree. We also spend 8 to 12 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week for about 35 years of our life. Our career impacts not only our financial status, but it also impacts our happiness, our self-worth, our growth, our physical and emotional well-being. It also affects our lifestyle and our family.
You know, I couldn't agree with you more when I actually listened to what you have to say in this regards. One of the points that you also bring up in your book is identity, and I think one of the key things that everybody struggles with is defining who they are and understanding who their identity is. What is the importance of that in being able to sort of manage your career professionally?
Well, we're going to talk about that, but the first thing I ask people is, what is your definition of career success? And most people, when canvassing them, they say, well, they want to make a living doing what they love to do. You want to be passionate about your work. You want to share your passions and your talents, and you want to feel respected, valued, and fulfilled for the contribution you make. You also want the financial freedom to live the lifestyle you choose. You want to be happy, you want to have fun, and you want to look forward going to work every day, because you spend a lot of time in your career. When we talk about, as you said, your identity consists of, we're going to define, what is your preferred working style? What is your preferred type of industry and field that you want to get into? And what are the activities that you like to engage in? And then what are your talents?
So talk to me about this. Talk to me about these working styles, because you also define those very clearly, and they seem to connect themselves to the individual's identity very closely. So talk to me about these working styles that you've defined.
Working style is very important because it determines how you to prefer to work. We all work differently. And there's 4 components. There's your interpersonal style, how you deal with people, your conflict management style, your thinking style, and your time management style. So we're going to go through them, Frederico, if I may, to show you what I mean about that difference.
Please, absolutely. Are you going to talk about this in this segment?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
In your interpersonal style, you're either an extrovert or an introvert. An extrovert tends to prefer to work with people and alone for short periods of time. It's usually easy for them to get to know people, and they tend to express their thoughts. They think out loud because they're soliciting input from other people. And they tend to talk more than listen. You do both, but you tend to have a preference. The introvert tends to prefer to work alone or one-on-one with people. And it takes time for them to get to know people. And they tend to internalize their thoughts. They need time to understand, digest, and reflect on issues before sharing information. They tend to listen more than talk. So understanding whether you're an extrovert or introvert, it's helpful to choose the part of choosing the career for you. And we go into extreme modes, but I want to talk about that at another series because there's an importance of understanding. If you're an extreme introvert, you need to listen more because you tend to talk more than listen, especially if you're dealing with an introvert. And if you are an introvert, you seem to perhaps not be a team player because you tend to keep information within yourself because you don't like to embarrass yourself. You don't want to say anything stupid, whereas an extrovert will just think out loud. But then you need to maybe balance the two.
I think based on your definition, I'm definitely falling in an extrovert category.
Yes. I think we're both extroverts because we tend to think out loud and we tend to speak fast and we tend to want to share our ideas, soliciting people for input, but that's what we do. Yes. Then the next phase, Frederico, is the conflict management style. This is going to be more applicable to when, in my other series, which I talk about how to maintain professional partnerships. But you're either a peacekeeper or a confronter. You tend to do both, but you tend to have a preference. So peacekeeper values harmony. They base their decision considering the impact on people's feelings rather than the objective.
Oh, interesting.
They maintain harmonious relationships rather than resolving issues is what's important to them. They tend to be non-judgmental. They tend to seek to understand other people and not impose their views. So they're more patient, tolerant, and forgiving. Okay? I think you're a peacekeeper. I'm a confronter. I base my decisions on the objective. Okay, what is it that you want to do? So I don't focus on the feelings. My first thing is the objective. What is it that you want to achieve? So I tend to address issues based on facts. And then I tend to be more judgmental. I state my point of view. And usually I'm more or less patient, tolerant, and forgiving. They're both good. It's when you balance the two. It's like a Martin Luther King or a Gandhi or a Data in Star Trek. They're going to use conflict, confront, and peacekeeper. They're going to confront the issue while maintaining dignity. And that's really important. But we're going to talk about that more in our next series.
How interesting that you actually address these so clearly.
Thank you.
It's hard. I can imagine. Another point that comes to my attention here is the importance of sort of having a professional to be able to guide you and be able to professionally manage your career. Again, I quite wasn't aware of all these concepts or principles until I actually sort of read through your book, and I gained that awareness in terms of what my identity is and how that relates to the career that I choose and therefore how I manage that. So talk to me about these the requirement of professional management.
We're going to go into the next phase, which is your thinking style. You do both. You're either a realist thinker or a visionary. And a realist thinker tend to think practical, common sense. They prefer to focus in reality, what is and what needs to be done. They got to see it, feel it, you know. Then you have the visionary type thinker who prefer to think in theoretical, conventional, the future, big picture thinker. They prefer to focus on what is possible, what could be rather than what is. They're both good. If you go into too realistic, you got blinders on, you're always in reality mode. And if you're too visionary, sometimes we're like space cadets, we're always in another world.
I can relate to that.
So can I. I'm a visionary, I tend to do that. The other thing, Frederico, is how do you manage your time? Time management is important. When you look at, you have two types. You're either organized or flex. The organized tend to want to manage their time in a very organized manner. They want to establish objectives, they're going to set priorities, they're going to remain focused and meet deadlines where they're going to get it done. So they value their and others' time. You'll find that they tend to be on time. You're always noticing, they're always watching. How's the best use of my time right now? They prefer to close boxes. And then when you have a flexible time manager, they manage time adapting as they go. They prefer to open boxes. In extreme mode, they tend to open a lot of boxes and they're scrambling in order to meet a deadline. But what the great thing is of the two of them is, if you have a flex, they tend to be more in the moment and they're enjoying it. So we need to appreciate them for that. But as well that they're aware that they need to balance it, how to organize it, meet the deadline, and yet get it done. So both are good. Extreme organized, we're like drill sergeants, we want to close the box, there's no fun. Flex extreme mode, they're all over the place, but they do make it fun. How do you balance the two? So when you understand your working style, it helps you, it's part of your identity, it's part of who you are.
I was just going to suggest, actually, what I take away from what you just suggested is to be able to find a balance point after recognizing who you are and being able to build appreciation for your talents and your skills.
And other people's.
And other people's.
Because we don't all think the same.
Absolutely.
So when I look at whether you're the four working styles, whether you're a realist flex in time management, these people are tacticians. They don't want to be involved with all the time management and project implementation details. This is what the job is, and just let me do it. So they're really good at that. Then you have the organized realists. They're great administrators. They like to, here's what the project is, here's how we're going to implement it. They're going to establish all the details, and they're going to set the priorities and close that box. They are great administrators. Then you have the organized visionary, which is my profile. I love to think out of the box. I love someone to challenge me mentally. But I go into organization because I want to close the box. I want to enter reality mode and to get the project done.
The priority is important for you.
Yeah. And for you, you're what I call the innovator, the visionary flex. So you're a thought provoker. You love ideas and concepts. And you challenge us to consider other options that we may not have considered. And people that I look in those profiles, like Stephen Jobs, he will step out of the box, right? He created new ideas and concepts. So your profile is really important. And a lot of companies don't know what to do with you, and the other profiles sometimes don't understand you. And I'm going, oh my God, they're such a valuable resource, because if you're not thinking out of the box, your competitors will outdo you. So you need all four. You need the tacticians, you need the administrators, you need the strategic implementers, and the innovators. So when you understand that, and then when you're looking at what types of careers you should choose, and as well how to manage your career, it really is important.
I can definitely appreciate that. You know, what I take away from here is first and foremost gaining that awareness and understanding of who you are, and therefore your skills, therefore you being able to sort of fit yourself or be fitted into an organization or institution that you are prosperous and you are able to contribute positively.
That's it, that reflects who you are, what you value.
Right.
And sometimes you don't understand someone as another working profile. When you understand that, I'm in with an introvert right now who's a realist, organized, I better, present myself in a different way or explain to them what I'm doing when I'm going out of the box.
That's right.
So the next component is you need to define your preferred industry, the types of companies you prefer to work for. So there are many types of industries, and what I find is when I ask people, what is your talent? What is it that you want to do? They don't know. But when I define the industry, what is the industry that fascinates you? So is it the beauty industry, clothing, computer? Is it construction? Is it consulting? Is it education? Perhaps it's in the entertainment industry, fitness, financial, food, or government, or maybe the healthcare, or interior design, the movie industry, the pet industry. So it's on my website. If you look at that, you can quickly define that's what fascinates me, because that's where you prefer to be. We will now we go into the next phase. What are your preferred activities? Some people like to work with people. They either with babies, children, teenagers, adults, and elderly. You have to define that.
Is that any different from what you're passionate about?
Well, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
This is all mixing your passions because it's defining what you value. Some people like to work with data, facts, numbers, words, ideas, and concepts.
Right.
Some people are more physical. They want to deal with their body and hands. Some people like the autistic area. Is it objectives the objects you prefer to deal with? Is it spiritual? Is it working with animals?
Your comfort zone, if you will.
That's it. What do you like working with? So it's the activities you prefer to be engaged in. It helps you define your identity. It's part of the component. And then, Frederico, when you've defined those things, you have to define your talents. What are you doing? Are you advising, creating, coaching, designing, directing? Are you fixing something? Are you inspiring someone? Are you selling? Are you teaching? And it's on my website. When you define those talents, you go, this is what I like to do. What we get from when we do all these things, we can define the ideal career for us. So we've defined your working style, whether you're a tactician, administrator, a strategist, or an innovator. We've defined the industry. Like for me, it's career management. That's where I should be. And I love working with people, adults and teenagers. What I like to do is I like to inspire, coach, and to problem solve. So my position title, I've defined it basically, is in career coaching. And then what people need to do is to research it, to speak to people in the field. Because if you don't know what you're getting into. I've seen people say, I want to get into human resources, and I'm going, well, okay, tell me about you first. And then I say, okay, there are different fields in HR. This is where you may want to go into. If you like coaching and training or inspiring, you should get into the training and development area. So by researching it and talking to people in the field, reviewing what job descriptions are and what the position requires, it really gives you more information to make informed decisions.
Sure.
And then I say to people, why do you want to do it and why do you love it? Because you want to have that fulfillment. So you need to say, well, this is why I want to do it. That's basically defining your career purpose. I think that we all possess unique identities. They're for different passions, different talents, and that's why we need each other, because we all, you have this, I have this, you can't do it on your own.
That's right.
And that's what makes life interesting, because if we were all the same, it would be boring. So when you're in alignment with who you are, you haven't defined your identity, you feel it, there's something telling you, this is not what I really want to do. What I want to say is professionally managing your identity enables you to choose the right career for you. And as well, you need to invest the time to find out your identity. We spend more time trying to decide how to buy a house, our car, our vacation, our wardrobe, than we spend time trying to plan our career. So it's like taking a trip. If you're going anywhere, wherever you end up will happen. It's like in your career. But if you plan, I want to go to New York, or I want to be a career coach, this is what I need to do to get there. That's why it's important that we really take the time to understand who we are. And in my next series, I believe we all have a career purpose. I believe we're there to help one another share our passions, our talents. I think that by helping others, we help ourselves. It's our job description in our personal as well as professional life. It's the difference between feeling like you belong, or being on an endless quest searching for that sense of validation, to feel happy, valued, and fulfilled for the contribution you make. In our next series, Frederico, I'm going to talk about learn how to professionally manage your career, how to perform effective job search, resume interviews, how to market yourself so you may stand out and compete with the people that you're going to be your competitors, and as well how to professionally manage your partnerships, and your identity is a major component to that.
I can definitely appreciate that. Well, I definitely look forward to our next series, and I certainly hope that our audience was able to take something positive away from this interview. Again, this discussion has been extremely valuable to me, and I hope that it's been the same for you. Thank you.
Thank you.